What if the moon crashed into Earth? This question comes from someone who looked at the calm, glowing orb in the night sky and thought, what if that thing just dropped on us? At first glance, it might sound like the kind of cosmic accident that only happens in video games or overdramatic disaster movies. But it's a fascinating scenario. So let's ask, what would actually happen if the moon, our ancient satellite, suddenly lost its orbit and began falling toward Earth? Let's be clear, the moon isn't just floating up there. It's orbiting Earth at a speed of over 3,600 kilometers per hour, delicately balanced between gravity and inertia. That's why it doesn't fall. To make the moon crash into Earth, something would need to slow it down dramatically. Perhaps a colossal space engine, a gravitational anomaly, or a vengeful alien species with a very specific grudge against tides. Assuming you do manage to stop the moon in its orbit, just halt its motion and let gravity do its thing, it would begin a deadly spiral inward. The moon is about 384,400 kilometers away, so it wouldn't hit us immediately, but it wouldn't take long. Depending on the deceleration, the moon could crash into Earth in as little as a few days, and we'd notice very quickly. As the moon draws closer, Earth's gravity pulls it in faster and faster. But the moon doesn't just fall in a straight line, it drags space with it. Tidal forces would increase dramatically. The oceans would start to behave like they're possessed. Tides would rise by tens of meters, flooding coastlines around the world. Tsunamis wouldn't be one-time events. They'd become continuous, sloshing back and forth with increasing violence. Meanwhile, the Earth's crust would start to shake. The gravitational tug of the approaching moon would deform the planet's surface, creating moonquakes and earthquakes at the same time. Cities would crumble not because of direct impact, but from the violent stretching of the very ground beneath them. As the moon comes closer, things get worse. Much worse. You see, before the moon ever touches Earth, it enters a zone called the Roche Limit, about 18,000 kilometers from the planet's surface. Inside this limit, Earth's gravity becomes so strong that it can tear the moon apart. That's right, the moon wouldn't hit us as a single solid object. It would shatter. A ring of lunar debris would form around Earth, kind of like Saturn's rings, but with way more screaming. Some of this debris would stay in orbit for a while. Most of it would not. Pieces of the moon, some the size of mountains, would rain down on Earth at hypersonic speeds. Each one of these impacts would release more energy than all the nuclear weapons ever detonated combined. Multiply that by thousands of chunks, and you've got yourself a planetary catastrophe. The atmosphere would ignite, firestorms would sweep across continents, shock waves would circle the globe, the sky would turn orange, then black, as dust and ash block out the sun. Welcome to impact winter. Temperatures would plummet. Photosynthesis would stop. Ecosystems would collapse. The extinction event would be total, possibly more severe than the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. The difference? This time, the asteroid was made out of the moon, and there are a lot of pieces. But let's rewind a bit. What if the moon didn't break apart? What if, against all odds, it stayed intact and slammed into Earth like a celestial wrecking ball? The moon is about 1/4 the diameter of Earth, and roughly 1/81st its mass. It's like getting hit by a cannonball the size of Australia. The impact would vaporize everything at ground zero. A shock wave would travel through the entire planet, potentially cracking the Earth's crust like an eggshell. The energy released would be equivalent to roughly 10 to the power of 29 joules, several orders of magnitude more than all the energy humanity has ever produced. Continents would shift, mountains would crumble, volcanoes would erupt in violent sympathy. Molten rock would spray into the sky. Entire tectonic plates could collapse into the mantle. Earth might not be destroyed outright, but it would be unrecognizable. There's even a chance, depending on the speed and angle of impact, that the moon's collision would knock Earth off its axis. The planet could tilt, wobble, or even start tumbling chaotically. Seasons would become unpredictable. Climate zones could shift overnight. Day and night would lose all meaning. But that's if anything survives at all. Most likely, the collision would create a new kind of planetary body, a molten, partially reformed Earth-Moon hybrid. A new planet, forged in chaos, with no familiar continents, no oceans, and no life. And if somehow fragments of Earth and Moon were ejected into space during the impact, some of those fragments might eventually come back, millions of years later, as meteors, falling onto the charred remains of their home planet. A cosmic reminder of how bad ideas can have very permanent consequences. All of this is based on physics as we understand it. But honestly, the biggest unknown in this scenario is not the science, it's the speed of the event. If the moon crashes into Earth slowly, we get tidal chaos, long agony, drawn-out destruction. If it happens fast, we get a single flash of light, and then silence. Either way, life on Earth would not survive. So, the next time you're out at night, gazing up at the moon, maybe take a moment to appreciate how well-behaved it is. Orbiting quietly, pulling on our tides, lighting up the night sky. It's not crashing, it's not falling, it's just there. Peaceful. Let's keep it that way. Because while crashing the moon into Earth might make for an exciting movie, in real life, it's one of the most catastrophic things imaginable, which is probably why NASA has zero plans to try it. And thank goodness for that. So no, don't crash the moon. Don't slow it down. Don't install a giant lunar magnet. Just enjoy the moon from a safe distance. About 384,000 kilometers is fine. Any closer, and things start to melt.